Thank you very much, guys, and welcome back to the All-Star Analyst Desk. As a note, that was the longest game of our tournament thus far, clocking in at 51 minutes and 30 seconds. And my word, did it deliver from start to finish. I do want to go back. It is nearly an hour ago that this game began. Let's talk about some picks and bans. I want to talk about the fact that SKT opted onto red side. There's a lot of strategic decisions and thinking and planning that goes into that. You can see the pick order. Please take note. First pick, blue side, on the side of OMG. It was, of course, Twitch, and following through Deficio. What's your take on the red side and, of course, the picks and ban phase here for SKT?
Well, so first of all, with the red side here from SKT, they could actually last ban the Nunu because they've seen everything else was being banned away they actually wanted to remove from the game. So they could remove the Nunu here, and it was great for them because they would either pick up Twitch or Jax as the options here. And Nunu would be great against both these picks. So it's very smart to take it away. Also, OMG plays well with it. Now, first pick is Twitch. Obviously here, it's where OMG has the option between Kha'Zix, Jax, and Twitch as the three OP champions. SKT are fine. You take one, we take the next two. They instant lock them in as well here. The Jax was huge for them in this game. Also because there would be no option for going to pick anything that could deal with Jax late game. There's simply no choice for him other than go Renekton and just try for early game come from OMG side.
Not to mention that if the Twitch is first picked, by responding with Jax and Kha'Zix, you have champions that have really good gap closers to get onto a very immobile Twitch in this game and deal a high amount of single target damage.
100% agree. And also, we can just pull down a graphic now. We've seen the pick here. The Morgana pick as well. Because you have these champions who's going to dive onto the enemy team, you need your AD carry to be safe. You need a Faker to be safe as well in the backline. And with Morgana, with the Black Shield, when you're against the likes of Pantheon, Renekton, physical champions, with a stun here, the Black Shield will last the entire duration on whatever target Pumandu puts it on, because these champions can't break it. So they will never be able to single target stun either Piglet or Faker in that case, if they're just standing in the back, and they can just deal all the damage towards OMG then.
So picks and bans locked in. Both teams, I feel, getting very comfort picks for them. A lot of sort of signature champions actually being thrown in there on both sides of the table. As a note, Going is 7-1 on Renekton from the beginning of the year until now. That was his very first loss on that champion. A player who is famous for his Renekton. So we get out the gates. The game goes explosive early on. Crepo, talk us through the first trades and engages.
Yeah, you see that even though OMG picked their bot lane first, I feel SKT picked a losing matchup just because they really fancied to swap away both. If their bot lane swaps away, that's fine, because that way the Jax is swapped away from Gogoin's Renekton. And as you said, he's really good on that champion. Renekton does really well against Jax, especially in the early levels. It takes really long for Jax to ramp up to a point where he can actually start bullying the Renekton. Even though the Renekton was gold down in fights, you could just see how powerful he is in the early to mid game. So that was good from SKT. They lane swapped. They had both teams delayed invaded on the blue buff, but then I feel they could have played it a little differently, and I don't want to question their methods, but I just want to offer an alternative and see if that would have been maybe been better. I think we even have a replay of that situation, so if you can get that up on your screen right now. Yeah, so at this point, what we see here is Bengi and Impact. They just cleared 3 camps in the blue side jungle, and normally in the Western scene, in the LCS that we play in usually, we would see that top laner and jungle go up top, be joined by the bottom lane that's already there, go for a 4-0 push. Instead, they opt to roam down to mid and engage on Xiang's Syndra. If we roll the crypt right now, we can see that Impact does a really smart thing. He channels his stun, goes immediately for the flash on top of Syndra. However, if Xiang would have flashed this a little better or a little earlier as he saw them coming, this could have backfired really hard for SKT. This is a really close fight where I think both people end up living on 1 HP, and SKT kinda doesn't win out at all here, Money.
Well, you can tell that this was the strategy behind letting them have Syndra. Obviously, when you don't ban it, you're going to assume that OMG is going to pick it up. And so they wanted to make a play on the mid lane. Now, key points there also was Xiang reacted really well to that. First off, Faker didn't get an Ignite range, which was pretty crucial. And also, because it was the Syndra-Orianna matchup, he was level 2 and had skilled Command Attack and Command Protect just to save him from some of the damage. Didn't have that distortion. If he had distortion, if he had been in Ignite range, that would have been a kill.
I just wonder, do you not think that going for a gank on Syndra is a little bit too risky because Xiang still got stunned by Jax. If he would have flashed out of the Jax range, because he can see them coming in range, would the 4v0 not have been better for them?
Certainly it's the safer play, I would say that. But the thing about it is, if they had gotten that kill early and shut down the bully Syndra, because of the power spike of SK Telecom's composition in the late game, I think it would have been a lot different because they would have had the early game advantage as well.
Yeah, but to answer your question though, like, they only chased because she was at 12 health, right?
Yeah.
Like, the flash engage is not something you predict, right? They're going to research level 1s, know there's no defensive ward on the blue just because they understand the team pretty well. And like, that dive is so unpredictable that they're not going to be waiting to counter gank. No team is waiting to counter gank that. And if you don't flash after the Syndra, then like there's no risk. It's just
so
like
I want to interject. I want to interject because we do have limited time to discuss a 50-minute game.
Okay.
And I love the fact that from the very opening minutes of this game, there is so much that we can discuss. I want to go out there and say OMG held their own against SKT on an individual mechanical level as well as a strategic level, albeit they were a 10th of a step behind. OMG did give up the first dragon. I do feel that SKT got an early lead, and they held that very small lead throughout most of the game. But you can by no means say that OMG were outclassed or outmatched this game. Agree or disagree?
Well, keep in mind, the comp here from OMG is very, very strong in the early mid-game. And that's also why they did so well in keeping up with SKT in these fights. Just the fact they actually were behind in gold in the early mid-game was a giant loss for them, because SKT could just take it easy and actually just extend the game. We saw Faker pick up home guards fairly early, so you could just always go back to base, come out and defend. And we actually also got a replay just to highlight as well how the comp worked for OMG. So if you just put it up on your screen as well. It is again Son here on Twitch, who's actually sneaking up towards Piglet, who I believe he got stunned by Syndra
from
first.
Out of range.
From out of
That's
range.
That's the power
exactly.
of the Twitch Syndra combo.
Exactly. They can always sneak up on targets here. And OMG, they know, if you look at the gold, it's dead even. We're 26 minutes in. This is the point where they should be ahead with this comp. Anyhow, let's just roll the clip. They get a kill onto Piglet early on. And then we see Alan starting the fight up here. Only 2 members from OMG actually, but still going for the fight. Ultimate from Faker coming in, doesn't actually do anything, and the fact that Alan gets out alive simply means from here on it's a 1-5 from OMG, and this is what they needed. They needed to win these fights here. However, Monty, you know exactly what they did wrong afterwards.
Yeah, the problem here is that we do see Bengi hopping over the wall, and if you guys remember, Alan is going to try and delay him right here, and he's going to hop off. Now, if we look at the way the minion wave was pushing in this instance, it was actually, there was a huge wave pushing into the mid lane, and unfortunately, OMG decided to try and chase Bengi through the jungle instead of actually taking the tier 2 turret immediately in mid, and therefore maximizing their map pressure and advantage in that situation. So just let Bengi go, definitely not worth it. And the other thing that happened right there was the Bengi, there was a teleport used, and that allowed a counter teleport later from Impact, and that was pretty significant.
Yeah, I think at least 3 different occasions we saw OMG miss out on an opportunity to take a free tower. Even when they were grouped up around the tower, they were hiding around the corner, trying to make a pick on the tower instead of just hitting the tower. And it just shows that OMG is not as aware of these objectives as SKT, and it indicates that why SKT is so comfortable picking these late game champions on first rotation. They pick Kha'Zix and Jax on the purple side. They maintain vision control in their red jungle. Even when they fell behind, they just put a lot of pink wards in their red side jungle. They're near Baron with good vision control. They can catch over the wall. They even call Alan once he was trying to get vision in. They're comfortable going to late game, and then they know they can outsmart their opponents.
Well, 2 closing thoughts from both Freak and Fisher before we move in.
Yeah, I think overall, SKT played their comp largely correctly, right? They grouped for the actual 5-man siege the whole time because they know if you split Jax, Pantheon jumps you, and they respected the OMG engage. Largely, the times where SKT fell was they were looking for picks when OMG was already pre-grouped. It would be someone like Bengi thinking he gets a free kill, but there's 4 more members of OMG there.
Fisher?
I just want to give credit to OMG. Even going late game, they managed to keep the game going. There were often times where a little bit aggressive, maybe over-aggressive, where they use multiple globals to try and pick up some kills, and then SKT could respond back because Impact saved his teleport. He could go bot lane, they could bait out the Baron, that's why they picked up the first Baron as well. But OMG still managed to actually keep it going, and the team fights, especially from both Xiang and Son, were perfect. Like, the positioning for both of them were so beautiful. And if they can continue to do this, maybe get a little bit better late game comp and still hold on in the early game, they might be able to take a game.
Well, we'll have to see if they can, because that first game was a hell of a match. We do have to jump to a quick break. When we come back, we're jumping into game 2 between OMG and SKT.